Who want the cash? Got a little bit of cash for you won't fit.
Floyd Mayweather just confronted Joe Rogan face to face at Los Angeles International Airport, and what went down has the entire combat sports world completely shook. Right now, sources claim Floyd spotted Joe in the private terminal and immediately walked up to him about the podcast comments regarding his missing money. People who witnessed the encounter say the tension was immediate and intense, with Floyd demanding Joe clarify his statements about the financial situation. Insiders report this wasn't a casual conversation. This was Money Mayweather letting Joe Rogan know exactly how he felt about the allegations being spread. I can only process a limited portion of the transcript at a time. Please paste the full transcript in segments, and I will rewrite each one as a single paragraph with the exact same length and no extra symbols. Witnesses say Floyd was traveling with his security team heading to a promotional event when he noticed Joe Rogan waiting for his podcast crew. According to people present, Floyd immediately changed direction and walked directly toward Joe with clear purpose. Sources claim Floyd's first words were something close to, "We need to talk about what you've been saying about my money situation on your show."
Floyd spends money like it's a tap, like he's got a tap, just like unlimited amount of money. Money's just flowing. And even as much money as he's made in his career, which he's...
Rogan's initial reaction was reportedly surprised, but not backing down. Insiders say Joe stood up from his seat and acknowledged Floyd, explaining that he was simply discussing public information about the Showtime lawsuit.
Well, the lawsuit could have some pretty serious implications, not only for Floyd's legacy, but also for how networks and advisors handle fighter compensations.
According to witnesses, Joe mentioned that the $340 million lawsuit is a matter of public record, and he was just analyzing the situation like he does with all combat sports news. People watching claimed Joe's tone was respectful, but firm, not apologetic. Floyd apparently wasn't satisfied with that explanation based on reports from the scene.
I make money. I like to feed my family. We can't feed our family just saying I love you.
Money got more animated, pointing out that Joe specifically said on his podcast that Floyd spends money like a tap, and implied he's broke despite making over $1 billion in his career. According to people present, Floyd mentioned that those comments damage his business reputation and make it harder to negotiate deals. Witnesses claim Floyd said something like, "You're telling millions of people I'm broke when I just filed a lawsuit to recover money that was stolen from me. That's not the same thing."
Claims for the missing money is not named as a defendant in the lawsuit. Instead, Mayweather's legal action targets the network and Steven Espinoza. He claims they aided and abetted these alleged financial...
The conversation shifted to Joe's podcast episode with Shakur Stevenson, where he discussed Floyd's financial troubles.
Yeah.
It's over with.
That's such a good lesson for young fighters to see, too. To see a guy like yourself be fully dedicated, so disciplined, get through the whole thing, get out.
Another one in him. I mean, because they missed that high of all the fans chanting their name and everybody, cameras, lights, and
cameras, lights, and insiders report that Floyd brought up specific quotes from that episode, showing he had clearly watched it and taken notes. Sources say Floyd mentioned Joe talking about lawsuits, unpaid rent, and owing money on various properties.
We can do whatever we want out there, and it's just, peaceful to wake up.
Joe Rogan reportedly attempted to de-escalate by explaining his perspective on the situation. People close to the encounter say Joe broke down his reasoning. If Floyd made over $1.2 billion in career earnings and is now suing for $340 million missing, that suggests serious financial mismanagement regardless of who's at fault.
Clips taken out of context of me of 12 years of conversations on my podcast, and it's all smushed together, and it looks fucking horrible.
According to sources, Joe said the math alone raises legitimate questions that combat sports media has a responsibility to discuss. Floyd's response to Joe's math argument was apparently intense. Based on witness accounts, reports suggest Money explained the difference between gross revenue and net income, pointing out that taxes, team payments, and promotional costs take massive chunks out of those billion-dollar figures.
Many people that are getting into just residences, making 100, 200 grand here or there, $50,000 not going to affect. But for those large investors, obviously that's becoming very concerning, because if you've got a building, big mall or something else, it could be worth $100 million. All of a sudden you've got a $10 million profit on there that's now going to be taxed at 30%.
Sources claim Floyd said something close to, "You think I kept all that money? 40% goes to taxes immediately." then trainers, managers, promoters, venue costs, insurance. You're talking about maybe keeping 30 to 40 cents on every dollar. Then the discussion turned to Al Heyman and the Showtime allegations specifically.
Argues that during his legendary career, where he generated $1 billion in revenue plus and pay-per-view money, a significant portion of the funds that he made through those events, through his fights, didn't make it into his hands because they were funneled through accounts controlled by his then advisor, Al Heyman. Now, Mayweather says that Showtime delivered those checks and funds through systems that helped Heyman get the money instead of paying.
Insiders say Floyd explained to Joe that his former manager allegedly diverted funds into hidden accounts for years without his knowledge. According to people present, Floyd emphasized that being a victim of financial fraud doesn't mean you're broke or financially irresponsible.
California, and obtained by TMZ Sports. Mayweather says he's gunning to recover hundreds of millions of dollars in the misappropriated funds and damages resulting from long-running and elaborate financial fraud allegedly perpetrated by his longtime advisor, Al Heyman.
Witnesses claim Floyd's voice got louder as he said, "I trusted the wrong people with my money. That doesn't make me stupid, it makes them criminals." Joe Rogan apparently agreed with that distinction, according to reports.
You can't, a fighter can't say, I'm doing business with Al Heyman, but I'm not doing business with Floyd Mayweather, or I'm doing business with Floyd Mayweather.
Witnesses claim Floyd's voice got louder as he said, "I trusted the wrong people with my money. That doesn't make me stupid, it makes them criminals." Joe Rogan apparently agreed with that distinction, according to report. Sources say Joe acknowledged that if the allegations in the lawsuit are true, then Floyd was indeed victimized by people he trusted. But Joe reportedly added that the situation still raises questions about why Floyd didn't have independent auditors reviewing his finances regularly. Throughout his career, according to witnesses, Joe mentioned that most athletes at Floyd's income level have multiple financial advisors who check each other's work. Floyd's counterpoint focused on the unique nature of boxing business. According to insiders, reports suggest Money explained that boxing operates differently than team sports where franchises and leagues provide financial oversight. Sources claim Floyd said that in boxing, fighters have to build their own teams, and there's no corporate structure providing checks and balances. According to people watching, Floyd emphasized that Al Heyman wasn't just his manager, he was someone Floyd had known and trusted for over 15 years. The conversation then shifted to Joe's comments about Floyd doing multiple fights in 2026 to raise money quickly. Witnesses say this is where Floyd got most offensive about the broke narrative. Sources report that Money explained he's fighting Mike Tyson, Mike Zambides, and Manny Pacquiao because these are massive events that fans want to see, not because he desperately needs the money. According to insiders, Floyd said, "I could retire tomorrow and never work again. I'm fighting because I can, and because the money is there. That's different from needing to fight." Joe Rogan's response reportedly acknowledged the distinction, but questioned the timing. People present say Joe pointed out that Floyd announced all 3 fights within weeks of filing the Showtime lawsuit, which creates an appearance of needing immediate cash flow. According to sources, Joe said the optics look like Floyd is scrambling to replace the missing $340 million regardless of the actual truth. Witnesses claim Joe added, "I'm just telling you how it looks to the public." Floyd apparently addressed the Logan Paul situation that Joe had also discussed on his podcast. Reports suggest Money brought up that Logan Paul claimed Floyd still owes him $1.5 million from their 2021 exhibition. According to insiders, Floyd explained the complicated payment structure involving a Dubai company that purchased rights, making the payment issue a legal dispute rather than Floyd refusing to pay. Sources say Floyd emphasized that's a contract dispute between companies, not me being broke and dodging payments. Then Floyd started breaking down his actual current financial position to prove his point. Witnesses report that Money mentioned specific assets, including his Las Vegas mansion, the Mayweather Boxing Club, multiple properties, his car collection worth over $50 million, and ongoing business ventures. According to people present, Floyd said his net worth is conservatively $400 to $500 million, even accounting for the missing money from a Showtime situation. Sources claim Floyd said, "Show me another boxer in history who retired with $500 million in assets." Joe Rogan reportedly conceded that Floyd is clearly not broke in the traditional sense. Insiders say Joe clarified that when he discusses Floyd's money troubles on the podcast, he's talking about liquidity issues and legal complications, not suggesting Floyd is actually impoverished. According to witnesses, Joe said, "Nobody thinks you're sleeping on a friend's couch, but when you're suing for $340 million and fighting 3 times in 6 months, people connect those." The discussion moved to media responsibility and how podcasters should cover financial stories about athletes. Sources claim Floyd argued that Joe has a responsibility to his massive audience to be more careful about implying financial desperation. According to reports, Floyd mentioned that Joe's podcast reaches tens of millions of people, and those listeners take his words as expert analysis. Witnesses say Floyd emphasized, "When you say I spend money like a tap, and now I have to come out of retirement, you are creating a narrative that's not accurate." Joe Rogan's defense of his commentary Focused on discussing public information, according to People Present reports suggest Joe explained that everything he said came from court documents, news reports, and Floyd's own public statements. According to insiders, Joe said podcasters and media have to analyze publicly available information, and if that information paints an unflattering picture, the solution is transparency from Floyd's team, not attacking the messenger. Floyd apparently brought up the Showtime records being destroyed in a flood. As an example of suspicious circumstances, witnesses say Money explained to Joe that when his new team requested financial documentation from Showtime to audit the payments, they were told records were lost in flooding. Sources report Floyd said this convenient excuse is exactly the kind of thing that makes the entire situation smell like